Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. I just want to take this time to thank you, this opportunity to thank you for meeting with me to wrap up my 2 year long degree, my EDS leadership degree. And I know when we originally met, gosh, it was what, last year, and talked about the things that I was doing in my organization and how I would continue to do that work and the growth that I would make during this time in my learning and from what I learned from my college and that continued progress. And so for me, I'll just share with you some of the things that I've acknowledged that I've grown in. I think the intentionality of research and really being able to bridge the gap between research and reality and making sure that, whatever I put in place, whether it be through the PLC process or the navigating and working alongside the administrators and supporting them with action plans and how they're gonna get they're gonna work the work around students with disabilities. I think that, that has been my biggest growth is being able to be effectively move and support them to make changes in their schools. The other thing I feel like I've grown in this process is being able to organize and lead my staff, being able to prioritize the work that they need to do to complement what we're already doing, but also turning over. I think that was something we talked about last time, being able to release control of, what we are doing and not overwhelming myself. I know that was something that you were kind of concerned about with me, way back when, that I tended to take on a little bit too much. And, as in this process, I've honestly learned again just to be able to utilize the skills of my staff and put those in place and help support them, what we're doing and through them a lot more than taking more on myself. So those are some of the things I feel like I've grown in, and I think I'll just turn it over to you to share with me and give me some specific examples and if there's continued growth for me.
All right. Well, great. Kim, thank you for um, letting me go on this journey with you here. It's been a lot of fun to watch your growth, to watch you hone your craft and get better. You've always done a great job, but I think going through this leadership training course degree program has helped you identify some things that you can ways that'll help make you a uh, better instructor and a better leader in within the organization and in whatever future goals and aspirations you have to use with that. I'll agree with you wholeheartedly. I know that the one thing we did talk about before, and it wasn't necessarily it's not like it was a detriment or anything like that, but learning to use your staff, and I think that just comes with experience. I've seen you grow in that area um, because you are such a people person, and you are one of those people that wants to help everybody. You're always so quick to say yes, we can help with that. We can, and I think not that you have stopped doing that, but I think what you have done is been able to take and redirect the efforts that need to go into that. Uh, let's take Amanda for example. I believe when she came on, she had a real skill set that kind of complemented yours, and y'all worked very close together. And you excuse me, you realize that you can give her a task and let her take that and run with it. And while it doesn't mean you just ignore her, you just she's out on her own. But you learn how to supervise her doing her work, but allowing her to take the bulk of that and run with it and make sure that she's getting those things done without having to have your thumb on everything every time anything's said or done with it. And to me, that's one of your biggest growth areas that I've seen. Um, I encourage you to continue to work on that because no matter what you do in leadership and in education, that's always going to be. You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. Hire good people. Uh, get out of their way and let them work. You supervise them. You know enough about the work. You know what they're supposed to be doing. You're going to stay involved enough to know if they're getting the job done and stay involved enough with the people they're working with in the schools and all. And you'll hear it. And there'll be times when you'll step in. Let me encourage you to do this also. Continue to build those relationships with your staff, so that they know that when something comes up that they have a question about, whether it's a question or whether it's something they need help in, how to present it or whatever, they'll come to you. They'll feel comfortable coming and saying, "Hey Kim, how can we better present this?" Or what are your ideas here? And that's the way you stay involved with it, and then that grows your people, so that I've worked for Buster Evans for a long time, and one of the things he always used to say was, a sign of a good leader is that if you could step away and nobody even realizes that you're gone. And that's the goal that we ought to all have, is that we leave it in such a way, in the people under us, that when it's time for us to go and move on or step aside or retire or whatever the situation is, that things just keep going on and they keep getting better. And you want to have those people under you ready to take on those leadership roles. That's what true leadership is. Anybody can be a manager. Anybody can manage the parts and pieces that go and move things around and get that kind of stuff. Inspiring people to be better is what real leadership is, and you're really honing your skills in those areas. I'm seeing a lot of growth on that. You mentioned the thing about the research piece. In education, we're all about best practices, and you can try lots of things, but you got to try proven techniques, and you've got to try things, and it's something that's been proven that works, or that works in certain situations. When in our area, we work with several systems who are bigger systems and who are more economically able to try different things. But we also work with quite a few systems that are very rural, very small, very poor systems that don't have a lot of money. And it's kind of the situation. If you got one arrow in your sling, you got to make sure that arrow hits the mark, and you got to do your homework to make sure that program or that concept or that professional learning that you're fixing to put forth and put your people through, one, that it's going to be beneficial to them, but also is it going to have the impact in the classroom when it comes time. And you do an excellent job of always researching your things that you're putting out through Coastal, and the things that your people are asking you to bring to them. You put a lot of time into the research and development of that. So,
Okay.
two great points that you brought up there. The only other thing I'll share with you is continue to challenge yourself. Don't ever don't ever get complacent. When we get complacent, we tend to we back off. We slack up. You're either getting ahead or you're getting behind. There's no standing still. So always stay engaged in work, and always keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the districts that you're serving. Know and anticipate the things that they're going to need. If you're very connected on a state level with your GLRS directors and your state contacts, things that are coming down the pipe and things that are going to be looked at, keep developing those relationships, because what that does is helps you guide the conversations that you have with your fed directors or your teaching staff, your principals, anybody that you're having a meeting with, and letting them know. A big part of what we do in our organization with RISA is that we are kind of out there on the edge of kind of the liaison between the actual school system and things that are going on in the state and the federal government. And it's up to us to kind of keep our ear to the ground about what's coming down the pipe, so that we can be preparing our people for, hey, make sure you're aware of these things. Not sure what's going to happen with it yet, but always keeping them abreast of that is so important, and it keeps them from being surprised when something does change. So.
Okay, thank you for I like I do actually really take that to heart because you're right. I mean, and that's what I'm learning more and more that we do have to stay one step ahead. I gotta be really good at
Yeah.
that, but, these days, it'll be a lot better after I finish this degree, right?
Uh,
Another question
It'll
I
be something else then. So it's
you
always
know it will be. It will be. Listen, so I have a question for you,
sure.
and, we're always having real conversations and but this is this is real as we're doing this work around lead embrace and what working alongside principals to be able to support their uh, their designs that help them sustain the work that we're doing and help them to prioritize this work. My question for you is, and quite honestly, is just, as a RESA director, and you've always shared that, this is something that you've never seen before, in a way that we're doing it. But where do you see this actually going? What are the end results, in your opinion? What are maybe two or three things that you feel like are going to be outcomes of this work?
Well, I'll say this: it is a very unique way of looking at the co-teaching special ed component of, and a way to bring. I've heard you say it. Getting all ships right. When you help that group, you're helping the whole school. And any of the techniques that we're using in the co-teaching model are just great teaching techniques. But getting that administrator to understand the relevance, I think is very key. We've had this conversation before too. I know the work that you and Mr. Butler have been doing is just tremendous. Uh, we've talked about encouraging other principals to become involved, getting some different perspective um, from some other principals. Heck, you got other schools in our districts, and of course, obviously across the state that are doing great things. Don't ever be hesitant to look at those techniques and things that they're doing. Don't um, I truly believe in the model that y'all have created, but what you have to be cautious of is don't get so sold on that model that that is the only way that it can be done, because um, and I believe we had this conversation recently about, you know, Mr. Butler can do it a certain way because he's Mr. Butler, and Derek's just he's a gem, and he's got such great charisma, and he's got such a great handle on the relationships with his staff, and knows his stuff. Not every principal can do it that way. Doesn't mean that they're not capable of doing the same things that you're talking about. But what I would encourage you, your next step for this is finding principals that are not like Mr. Butler, who can produce the same kind of results in a little different way. And the key being that their focus is on those students with disabilities and making sure they're getting everything they need. And they may do it in a little more low key, may do it a little more outgoing type that way. You're just not sure. But don't limit yourself to say that this is the only way it can be done. Your research, your your cornerstones of your program are solid. Don't get so hung up in the delivery method of how an individual would give them that you miss out on an opportunity for somebody with a little bit different personality, a little bit different scenario, a little bit different clientele in their school system, the way they might bring that about. Other than that, I think you're spot on with the with the cornerstones of what you're trying to produce with that model. And I just I just say keep rolling with it. Keep looking for ways to get it into schools, get it in front of, get it into the classroom. That's the key. How can that help that administrator take it in their style and their perspective and in their way and what fits their school and get it embedded in those classrooms?
Awesome. Thank you so much for that advice. I 100% hear you, and that is actually my plan, from here moving forward. One of the things that I always say is, this is a way, not the way, and that's huge for us. But um, I heard you a while back when you did say that, make sure that we are, bringing other people into this work and, not sticking with just 1 or 2 here and there, but, bringing all that in. So I really look forward to being able to do that after I finish. I keep saying after I finish this degree. That's gonna be my next steps. But through this process too, I think what you have taught me, and I'll just, is really about understanding more about the management side of it as well, and that has been huge, and being able to balance both. But I think you're really great at that. And I honestly 100% know that I'm gonna be who I am, but I also know that I would not have been able to get through this without a leader like you just stepping back and letting me do what I do, and just appreciating and encouraging and guiding that work, because you have always been that one that's like, that's really great, but I want you to consider this. And you push me and challenge me and push back on my thoughts that way, because you want me to grow. And I really appreciate that. I know that's not a lot of people can't handle that, but definitely.
That's it, and that's just part of the growth. Part of my growth process too is helping other people see ways to continue the work they're doing in a little different way. Uh, I, I've shared this lots of times, but I worked. Don Turton was the first superintendent I worked for, and he always said, "If you're the smartest person in the room, find a new room." Always look for rooms to be. Always look to be around people who are smarter than you and who think outside the box and who will challenge you to question your thinking. Don't
Mhm.
let them change your, I mean, be confident in who you are and what you can do. And you certainly are, but don't surround yourself with people who are just going to say, "Oh, Kim, that's the greatest thing." That doesn't help you grow. That just helps them feel better about themselves.
Listen, as long as I have you and Derek Butler in my life, I'm good, because y'all do neither of y'all are very no, I don't like that. But that, like I said, that has made me, that has challenged me and made me a much better leader. Well, Mr. Smith, I thank you so much for your time, and I'm gonna stop recording now, and turn this thing in, and we're
Been a,
almost done.
it's been a pleasure to be part of this. Thank you for what you've done. I know you're going to be. Uh, I know you're going to sail through this great graduation thing and end this semester with ease. But good luck in everything you do moving forward.
Thank you so much.